Police will be investigating this incident further as it occurred outside Dearborn city limits. I'm Faraz Javed, 7 Action News.
Faraz, thank you. Now we turn to the Canadian trucker protest on the Ambassador Bridge. It has started to thin now that it's been more than 24 hours since a court injunction ordered the demonstrators to clear out. Some listened, but many have not. A much larger police presence tonight as officers tried to convince the remaining strongholds to obey the judge and go home. They've been blocking drivers on the Canadian side from crossing in protest of the vaccine mandate in Canada. 7 Action News reporter Kiara Hay has the latest.
Canadian police warned of hefty fines, property seizures, and jail time if this blockade continues. And today it seems they made good on some of those promises. Vehicles parked near the Ambassador Bridge protest are being ticketed and towed, according to this tweet from Windsor PD. Earlier this morning, Canadian police armed in riot gear pushing back demonstrators and blocking off an area of the bridge. But the protests now deem the Freedom Convoy continues. And not just in Canada. Copycat convoys now underway in Australia, Paris, and here in Michigan, with the initial protest against the vaccine requirement for Canadian truck drivers now morphing into COVID restrictions across the country.
Why can't I cross the border into my own country freely?
Ellen Kovara lives in Chicago, but drove down to Detroit near the border on Tuesday and again today to show her support for the protesters.
It affects me personally because I'm a dual citizen and my family and friends are in Canada.
Right now, in order to enter Canada, a person must be vaccinated and have a negative COVID-19 test or quarantine for 2 weeks.
American citizens don't have to quarantine when they come home to the U.S.
FaceTime doesn't cut it, obviously.
Emma Warner's parents live in Canada, and she says they haven't even been able to meet her daughter because of the border restrictions. So they're standing in solidarity with the people across the Detroit River.
Technically, we're allowed to go. As a Canadian citizen, I can go, but it's just they make it really hard.
Meanwhile, as the Ambassador Bridge closure nears the end of day 6, General Motors in Lansing has canceled several shifts. Ford and Toyota are scaling back production, and Michigan factory workers could lose $51 million in wages this week alone. 7 Action News spoke with an auto analyst who says the auto industry could be losing $1 million a minute because of this blockade. In Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is addressing the issue, saying he's been in contact with both President Biden and Governor Gretchen Whitmer. In Detroit, Kiara Hay, 7 Action News.
Kiara, thank you. We will be watching and waiting as more protesters leave the blockade. If you want to continue to monitor the situation as it unfolds, remember you can always get all the updates you need on our webpage, WXYZ.com. President Biden meeting today with Russian President Vladimir Putin with the risk of war looming. At this point, the White House says it doesn't know if President Putin plans to invade Ukraine, but says everything needed to do so is in place. U.S. officials are ordering families of American embassy staffers to leave in the next 2 days. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze with the latest.
President Biden spent just over an hour on the phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin. A senior administration official telling ABC News there was no fundamental change in the dynamic that has been unfolding now for several weeks. Fears are mounting that Russia could invade Ukraine sooner than expected, even before the Olympics are set to conclude February 20th.
We can't pinpoint the day at this point, and we can't pinpoint the hour, but what we can say is that there is a credible prospect that a Russian military action would take place even before the end of the Olympics.
A consensus